Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Charlie and I talk about books, studying, chronic illness and life in general. And today we are on my favourite subject, I don't know if you can tell, books. I do a lot of book hauls on this channel, mainly because I buy a lot of books. I spend most of my money either on my sisters or on books. And I was planning on doing a book haul after my birthday. That one didn't work out quite as well as I was, intending. Just realised I forgot one. In fact, I forgot two. Well done, Charlie. You're doing great. It was like going to be all organised with all the books beforehand. But no, can't manage that. But as it has happened, I didn't manage to do anything around my birthday. I really didn't film that much over November because I was doing NaNoWriMo as well as university. And so here we are. And I have two big piles of books. And one of them is sort of paperbacks. And the other one is hardback collectibles. For those of you who don't know, I have a vintage book collection, which I love. I buy a lot of vintage books, mainly to do with poetry, languages and ancient history. I have 3 shelves of sort of vintage / antique books in my writing studio here, and I have a shelf of antique books in on my bedroom bookshelves. I'm very thirsty today. But anyway, I went out with a friend yesterday and he doesn't like books that much. So I took him to a bookshop and I got loads of books and I decided, you know what? Christmas season is coming up. I know exactly what I'm doing for videos over the Christmas season, in which you'll probably see quite a few of these books because they will probably be in my December wrap-up, which will make sense. I didn't do monthly wrap-ups for the rest of the year, but December will make sense when the video comes out. Anyways, so you'll probably see a lot of these, but I thought I've got, free half an hour before I need to, finish off my university assignment, submit it, and then get back to writing my novel. And I thought, why not? Let's just gather as many of the books as I know and remember that I have found or bought over the last sort of month, 2 months, and just do a haul. I know this isn't all of them, but I'm pretty sure half of the ones that I did buy are either in my bedroom or hidden somewhere. For example, I know I have some poetry books, but my poetry section is huge, so I don't want to mess that up because I already have to mess it up to put some of these books away. But anyways, let's get started. The first sort of, I was going to put this in categories, but we've just got paperback and hardback. But the first book is a confession by Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy wrote, I think it's War and Peace. I'm pretty sure it's War and Peace. Yeah, War and Peace. It was that or Les Mis. And I read War and Peace when I was 13, and I loved his writing. And I found this in a charity shop for £1.49. Beautiful. Just taking the sticker off. It looks to be a thin book for Leo Tolstoy anyway. And this is basically the writing that he made at the end of his sort of life. He's 51 and he's looking back on his life and he considers it a failure. And he writes about it in this book. So I'm very excited to read this, very excited to add it to my Leo Tolstoy collection. I already have War and Peace. I have collectible editions of War and Peace. I've got a paperback edition of War and Peace, and I've also got Anna Karenina. So I'm very excited to add this to my collection. I'm going to try and do classics first. My sister's best friend at university bought me this for my birthday. It's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And I have already gone through it, annotated it. I read it on the train yesterday. So this was actually... I am able to read classics faster than most people, but this was actually a really easy classic to read because it's not set... Here, I'll show you. It's not set in essay format. So, I really enjoyed this. It was a very good read. And if anyone's trying to sort of get into classics or want to read up about the art of war, this is a good one. And it's not just good for the art of war, it's good for the art of, you know, everything. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yes. This book, I have been looking for this book everywhere. Because, for those of you who don't know, I'm writing a novel. You'll see more of that on my Instagram, my TikTok, rather than on here. But I'm writing a novel called Icarus Falls, and it's set throughout different places in history. And I'm just going to organise this a little bit so it's not, you know... Oh, there we go, much better. Nope, that's uncomfortable. Because my necklace isn't outside it. Sorry, my body has breakdowns every once in a while. And then I have a breakdown because my body's having a breakdown. Right, there we go. And where was I? A book. Oh yeah, and one of the characters in the book that I'm using is John Keats, who is a romantic poet. He died very young. He died in Rome. But I wanted to get some of his poetry because I want to do whiteout poetry, which is basically where you take a pen to it and you create new poems from the words that he's used. And that is an important part of the book. And I didn't want to buy it new just to deface it, you know. But I'm very excited for that. This was £1.50, which it's a good price. This was also from a charity shop. Going along with the Wordsworth classics. If you guys know me, you know I collect Wordsworth classics. And you also know that I love Little Women. So this is my third copy of Little Women that I have for my collection. I love it so much. I relate to Jo on a personal level. So yeah, I was very excited to find this and I picked it up immediately. Right, I'm pretty sure the ones that are following are all to do with my degree. I'm a classics student. I'm doing a classics degree. And I am very interested in mythology and feminism and ancient history. And they're kind of the thing that I sort of go for when it comes to books and stuff. So the first one I got is a Pelican original, Prehistoric Crete. Crete is an amazing place and the history of Crete is just so good. So I will definitely be reading this and annotating it. This is £1.50. I love this. And it smells like old book. So this is from, when was this published? This will probably go in the vintage book. Yeah, 1960. So this goes in the vintage books. And another thing to go in the vintage books is the Penguin books, the Greek myths. I did a silly thing. They had this. This is volume 2. And they had volume 2 and volume 1. But the volume 2, no, they had volume 2 in both the Penguin books and the Pelican originals. And I didn't pick up the Pelican originals. And I'm now looking at my Greek Myths 1, which I have. And it's the Pelican one, not the Penguin one. But either way, I will obviously get the first one of the Penguin ones, because look how pretty this is. And the first one of the Pelican one, so it's fine. And this was published... 1950, so again, vintage book, and it is beautiful, smells amazing, I love it. Next up, big chunky book. It's The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon. This is the abridged edition, and it's the Penguin Classics edition. I have the unabridged edition on my shelf up there, but my main points of interest are in Greece, but I know that a lot of my degree will involve Rome. So I want to get as much reading in that matter done as possible. And here we go, another Penguin Classics. Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. I love fairy tales, I love mythology, so when I saw this I knew I had to get it. It's beautiful. And this was published, this one, 1990. So these aren't vintage, but they are a beautiful collection, and I've got several of them. So my Keats was this collection, and it actually is a great follow-up to my next one, which is Aesop's Fables. This was £1, I think. And what I love about this is that it, one, has little annotations here from the previous readers, but also Aesop is one of the main writers from the Greek era, and he did a lot of anti-feminist writing within the parables. So it's going to be very interesting to read this, annotate it, and see what happens. I am so excited for this next book, you have absolutely no idea. Venus and Aphrodite, History of a Goddess by Bethany Hughes. This is looking at, well, the myths of Venus and Aphrodite and the history of it. I write Greek mythology rewrites, so books like this are incredibly important, and it'll help me differentiate between, you know, the Roman version, Venus, and the Greek version, Aphrodite. And Aphrodite is a key character in, well, I wouldn't say key character, but she's one of the like main secondary characters in my current novel, and I will be writing a mythology rewrite about her as well. Well, it's more mythology reimagining, but anyways, and I will be doing that. I'm confused, there's something on my screen. Like right there. Oh dear. This is why I don't touch. Oh, look at that. That's much better. Well done, Charlie. You did a good thing. So I'm very excited to read this. I will probably read this month. I do have to finish Pandora's Jar though, which I just haven't kept up with lately because I'm a mess. I'm going to pause for a drink because talking about books is thirsty. No. Is, oh wait, is thirsty work the saying? Anyways. I'm trying to make this video not as long as the rest. So I'm, you know, trying not to waffle too much. The next book is Amoa Masamat and All That, How to Become a Latin Lover by Harry Mount. I study Latin. I studied Latin. I have a Latin GCSE. I stopped. I went to do A-levels. But the minute I went back into my degree, I started studying it again. So this is just a really simple, easy way to remember, you know, to learn about Latin. I also have Gwyn's Latin and a lot of Latin books. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to getting back to, you know, being semi-fluent in Latin. Next up, my favourite poet from the Greek era, it's Sappho. Sappho is one of the best writers to come out of ancient history, I think. She has some of the most amazing poetry, and Sappho is a very interesting person because she is one of the earliest recorded openly gay writers. In the era of the Greeks, it was completely normal for men to have relationships with other men. You know, there were places they went for that, and that kind of fluidity of sexuality was very normal with men. But with women, it wasn't so normalised, and Sappho, well, it is said that Sappho lived on the island of Lesbos with all of her women who she loved and she trained and, you know, made beautiful. And it is where we get both the term sapphic, which is two women and the love between two women, and lesbian, which is the name used for women who like other women. And her writing is beautiful, and it's a very good look into the early history of sexuality in ancient history, which is a point of great interest for me, as you will see by my novel that I'm writing. And as I said, another thing of great interest for me, feminism. So this is Feminism in Greek Literature from Homer to Aristotle by Frederick Adam Wright. I've already started annotating it. And I think I mentioned this. See, these kind of, you know, underlining things. And I think I mentioned it in a video recently. No, it's like little things. I'm loving reading this book. It's not my quickest read, but that's because I want to read it carefully and take it in, which is why history books always take me longer to read than sort of normal poetry and novels and stuff, because I am, you know, trying to take it in. I'm trying to, you know, make a point. I've just realised I've missed out like 8 books that need to go into this section, but that's okay. There we go. This is a really good book. If you're interested in feminism in ancient history, read this. I have also been reading a lot about this on my Kindle, and I am hopefully getting some more books on this subject for Christmas. The thing about historic books, especially ones that look into the literature and ones about feminism, is they're quite expensive, so I'm not able to sort of buy them all in one go. And I always keep my eye out when I'm in secondhand bookshops, but it's not always the first thing that's there. But that's okay. These books can sort of all go together. If you haven't heard of them, these are some of the Penguin Little Black Classics. Love the Little Black Classics, and will be buying the collection when I have the money, even though I have some of them here. So I have Ovid, The Fall of Icarus, which I have read and annotated for my novel, which is about Icarus. We've got some more Sappho. I loved reading this, and I did, you know, annotate it, as you do. We've got Sophocles, Antigone. I've got several copies of this because I need it for my degree. It's one of the set readings for this year. Very excited. We've got Christina Rossetti, Goblin Market. I just love Christina Rossetti, and I remember reading The Goblin Market when I was like 7 in one of my grandmother's oldest books. It was like falling apart, and it was just, so yes, many great memories with that. We have Oscar Wilde, Only Dull People Are Brilliant at Breakfast. I love Oscar Wilde. He was an icon. No one can change my mind. I love his writing, and it's amazing. We got Yeats. I think it's Yeats. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, because it could be Yates, but W.B. Yeats, I'm going to say. A Terrible Beauty is Born. I read this in one sitting. It is poetry. My little annotations. And this was really enjoyable. I don't know what just happened, but my video just cut off. I was talking about Dante, Love That Moves the Sun and Other Stars. This is from the very end of his... I'm trying to remember. Divine Comedy, I think. And it's about paradise within the Divine Comedy. I read the Divine Comedy when I was much younger, and I'm planning to reread it next year. But this was a very quick read. I got that one done in, you know, half an hour, and I annotated it. Let's see. And then there's another collection called the Penguin Modern Classics, which I've only got one of. I will be getting this collection, but it's Allen Ginsberg. Television was a baby crawling towards that death chamber. Allen Ginsberg was a poet in the I'm just going to look it up because I don't know. He was born in 1926 and died in 1997. A lot of his poetry was written and published in between 1940 and 1990. There's a great film about him, which is called, is it Burn? No, Kill Your Darlings. And it has Daniel Radcliffe in it, I think. But I really like his poetry, and I thought, you know, why not just get started. Right, now on to modern books. There's really not that many, there's 4. First is Grief is the Thing with Feathers. I haven't actually read any of Max Porter's poetry before, but I flicked through this in the shop and it looked amazing. And, you know, I am all for finding new poetry and reading loads of new poetry, so I immediately picked it up. My twin got me this for my birthday. It's Anatomy by Karina Vigil. You can find this on Amazon. An amazing book. I really love this book. Lots of annotations, lots of little tabbings. It's a quick read, but look at the front of it. That front is just so beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. This is actually the poetry book I'm reading at the moment, When Rain Falls. Now, either my twin got me this or her best friend got me this, but I'm not sure. I can't actually remember because they both got me books. But this is what I'm reading at the moment. Very good. Poetry is very interesting. It's a very thick poetry book, and I'm just going to stop this for a second. My boyfriend was coming in and he doesn't like to be on camera, so I had to stop. Anyways, it's a very thick poetry book. You don't really get modern poetry these days that is this thick, but I'm enjoying it so far, so what can I say? And the final sort of modern book that I've got is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I have very mixed feelings about this book because I didn't relate to it very much, but I couldn't put it down. And books like that are very difficult to review because it's like, I hated it, but I also loved it. And unfortunately, I will be getting the next one. It is what it is. And I say unfortunately, but if I enjoyed reading the book and I couldn't put it down, it's probably fine. But I've got very mixed feelings about this, so I'm not going to put it in sort of out of 5 stars because I don't really know what to say about it. I couldn't put it down. I loved it, but I didn't relate to it. And I like to relate to books when I read them. We're nearly there. Now we just need to go through the hardback collectibles, starting with this lovely set here. These are a set of Jane Austen's most famous novels. They are the Collector's Library editions, which I have started collecting. I've got 3 more over there. So we've got Northanger Abbey. Look at these, they've got little gold gilding on the pages. I love it. So we've got Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility. It's a good one. Mansfield Park, which I admit I haven't read recently. I think I read it when I was maybe 10 or 11, but I haven't read it recently, so I do not actually remember the storyline. And then we've got my 2 favourites, which is Emma, which obviously, and these are the thickest ones. So we've got Emma, which I love, and my all-time favourite classic, Pride and Prejudice. Oh, I love it so much. And these are beautiful copies. And you know what I'm like with beautiful copies of books. Right, we are almost done, I promise. Yesterday I found this beautiful Shakespeare The Complete Works Volume 2. I unfortunately didn't find Volume 1, but look at this, it is gorgeous. I couldn't not buy it. And this was published, I just need to make sure, check whether this is vintage or antique. It's the histories. So this one talks about King John, King Richard, King Henry, lots of different King Henrys, King Richard, and Henry VIII. And this was published in 1898. So this is vintage. It's in wonderful condition. No, it's antique. Over 100 years is antique. And it's in wonderful condition for an antique book. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, I say wonderful condition, it actually is cracking. Here, down here at the bottom, when I sort of open it, it cracks. So I might need to have a look at that. But it is over 100 years old, so hang on. If it was published in 1898, it's 102 to 2000. It's 2021. So it's 123 years old. We like it. We do. We love to see it. And then this, I'll take my free bookmarks that I got out of that. them away up here. My camera cut out again. Like, this is from the 1950s. It was 99p, and it is Russian reading and conversation. I want to learn Russian next year because I'm like that. So it's just got sort of the Russian lettering and sort of translations and how to use it. So that'll be really helpful. 2 more books to go, and then we're done. The Oxford Book of French Verse. This was £2.99, and it is published. It was originally published in 1907. So this one is an antique as well, but this one is in beautiful condition. The dust cover on it is beautiful, but I always love to check what books look like under the dust cover. And when I tell you it's even more beautiful under the dust cover, look at that. And there's a little note in the back, which is one of the things I love about vintage and antique books, is you find things in them. And I haven't actually bought one that has anything, you know, interesting in them, but this looks very cool. Oh. It looks like a receipt, maybe, from 1962, from the Oxford University Press. How cool is that? Can't read the handwriting, but it's so cool. And then last but not least, my favourite, the one that I really wanted to do this for. Look how pretty! It's Love and Other Nonsense. Pages are beautiful. I got this yesterday. It was £5, and I think so far the most expensive out of all of my current vintage and antique books. This was gifted to someone in 1980, but it was published in 1908. And the inside is the inside is just beautiful, and the outside is beautiful, and I love it so much. So that is my current book haul from the last couple of months. I did miss out some books. It was very stop-start, but you got the idea. Next week, I'm so excited for this. My boyfriend and I are going book shopping in London. Tomorrow to get some more books, obviously. It's to celebrate our 2-year anniversary. And so next week you're going to get another book haul. It might not be entirely books. We'll just do another haul, but it'll probably be mainly books. So keep an eye out for that. And if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment, let me know. And if you also collect vintage books or antique books or collector's editions, let me know, because I want to meet more people who do that. Anyway, that is it from me today, and I will see you guys next week.